All right, welcome to the live stream. So much to talk about. Yesterday's live stream was short-circuited by a delightful DDoS attack on the David Pakman Show website. If you watched yesterday, I did a debate with independent journalist Tim Pool, and once it wrapped up, we were going to consider opening the phone lines and blah, 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 and members and all of this stuff. And then people started saying, David, we're trying to sign up for membership in order for you to open up the phone lines, as it says down there, and your website's down. And it was indeed a DDoS attack. Delightful little thing, which happened once. Well, I mean, it's happened a couple times, actually. Maybe I shouldn't even call attention to why or when. But the timing may be coincidental after the Tim Pool debate, maybe not. I don't know. You be the judge. But we had a nice little powwow with our hosting company and our web developer, and things are back up and running, fortunately, and hopefully they'll hold so that we can actually open up the phone lines today. While I'm waiting for people to get connected, we're going to be talking about the Don Jr. subpoena momentarily. I have been just engrossed in the book Bad Blood by John Carreyrou, or Carreyrou. I don't know if that last R is silent. It is an extraordinary piece of investigative journalism about the scam that is Elizabeth Holmes' company Theranos, which it is a book that has been written on the basis of hundreds of interviews and such extraordinarily good investigative journalism. We're trying to get John Carreyrou on the show, and the paperback of the book, Bad Blood, is coming out in a couple of months, so we're hoping to get him on. Absolutely fantastic nonfiction, and I highly, highly recommend it to you. It's 300 pages, and I think I started 3 days ago, and I'm on page 250 because I just am unable to put it down. Engrossing, well done as investigative journalism, and just a captivating story of scammers and liars and deception. And anyway, check it out because it's truly, truly extraordinary. Okay, welcome to the live stream. If this is your first live stream, these are different than the YouTube clips that I upload, in that this is live, unless you're watching a replay, meaning you can communicate with me directly. Best way to do it is use the super chat function. That's the $ at the bottom of the chat window. Type in a comment, ask a question, and we will put those up on the screen. I will answer the questions, and I will react to the comments. Excellent, excellent way to participate in the live stream. If you want me to open the phone lines and allow people to call in, our number is 617-830-4750. Then sign up for membership on our website. There are discounts. Full price is a great deal. Discounts make it even better. Coupon codes down in the video description. If we get 10 new members, we will open the phone lines and hear from people. Please don't troll the live chat. We will ban people. We have moderators who have been deputized, and they know what to watch for. I think we all know what counts as trolling. And you can also use the join button down below to become a YouTube subscriber, if that is something you want. Just as an example of what Super Chat looks like, Jose Romero has sent the first Super Chat of the evening, and it pops up on the screen just like that. It's delightful. It's fun for the entire family, and eventually I will answer his question. But let's get directly into the sort of lead story for this evening, which is that, yes, indeed, our buddy Don Jr. Oh, man, the zoom on this is not good. How can I put this on the screen? Might have to do some cropping here. This always seems to go haywire, no matter what I try. Let me see if I can crop this a little bit to give us some space. Let's see here. If I go like this and then move it over, I think that'll work a little bit better for us. Yeah, and then maybe I can zoom it in. Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, I think that helps. Senate Intelligence Committee has subpoenaed Trump Jr. over Russia matters. So I think that this is a really interesting strategic move if you are a Democrat who is in favor of this. But remember that this is the Republican-led Senate, and thus the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee. And that's a consideration here that we don't want to ignore. But let's start at the top. The Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee has subpoenaed Donald Trump Jr. to answer questions about his previous testimony before Senate investigators in relation to the Russia investigation, sources with direct knowledge told Axios. why it matters. It's the first congressional subpoena that we know about of one of President Trump's children. The subpoena sets up a fight that's unprecedented in the Trump era. A Republican committee chair pit against the Republican president's eldest son. It's also a sign that the Russia investigations in Congress aren't over, despite the conclusion of special counsel Robert Mueller's probe, and despite Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying it's time to move on from the Russia probe. A Senate Intelligence Committee spokesperson told Axios, "We do not discuss the details of witness engagements with the committee. Throughout the investigation, the committee has reserved the right to recall witnesses for additional testimony as needed, as every witness and witness counsel has been made aware." Don and Senate Intel agreed from the very beginning that he would appear once to testify before the committee and would remain for as long as it took to answer all of their questions. He did that. We're not sure why we're fighting with Republicans, a source close to Trump Jr. told Axios. So before we go any further, don't underestimate the willingness of Republicans to concoct political theater to get Donald Trump Jr. there to testify about how fine everything is and how there's nothing to see and everything's totally fine. No collusion, no obstruction. You're the victim. Your dad's the victim. Everybody's a victim. At the same time, this will allow Democrats to ask questions of Donald Trump Jr. under oath in a setting that could be extraordinarily explosive and interesting for the purposes of figuring out how dumb is this guy, first of all, which is maybe one of the top questions I'd have about Don Jr. But also, what does he say about a variety of relevant matters? So there's a couple of different ways that this could go if it happens. Mueller, whose investigation did not find a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia, did not indict Trump Jr. despite speculation that he would. Unlike many congressional investigations in the Trump era, the Senate intelligence probe, led by Republican Chairman Richard Burr and Democratic Vice Chair Mark Warner, has been largely bipartisan. If there is one place where Republicans are in charge, but there is the possibility that there might be productive and serious discussion about the truth of what took place over the last 2.5 years, it would be the Senate Intelligence Committee. There's no question about that, out of Republican-led committees and investigative bodies. The fact that they're subpoenaing Trump Jr. is a strong signal that he declined a request to appear before the committee again. That's interesting, which is so when you testify before these Senate committees, they will often tell you, that's it for today, but we reserve the right to call you back in whatever language they use for that. If Don Jr. already appeared after a non-subpoena request, and now there is a subpoena, it is not crazy to infer that maybe he has refused an invitation that is a non-subpoena request, and now they have sort of been, their hand has been forced into issuing this subpoena. The backstory: Trump Jr. testified. Oh, and now I'm going to another page accidentally. Apologies there. Trump Jr. testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee in September of 17 that he was only peripherally aware of proposed plans for the Moscow project. His testimony was released. He testified for a total of more than 25 hours with 3 different committees, per a source familiar with the situation. In an interview with Fox News' Laura Ingraham in January, Trump Jr. downplayed his knowledge of the discussions of a possible Trump Tower Moscow, saying the project was a creation of President Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen. We don't know anything about it. Ultimately, it was Michael Cohen essentially trying to get a deal done. As we know, Michael Cohen, and here it is, Michael Cohen claimed in his testimony before the Oversight Committee that Trump Jr. was more aware of the project than that. During the 2016 campaign, Cohen testified he briefed Jr. and Ivanka about the proposed Trump Tower Moscow project about 10 times. We know the project was formalized in a letter of intent. And BuzzFeed reported and actually published architectural plans and drawings showing what the tower would have looked like, the proposed location of the tower, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would love to see Jr. testify if it were to happen publicly, and it may not. That's an important thing. Even if he agrees, he may not do it publicly, because he's not particularly bright. And if you've ever seen him appear on the Sean Hannity show, you probably know what I'm talking about. And it would be very interesting to see how he handles a variety of the topics that are likely to come up. He would be, of course, he would have an attorney sitting right behind him. And That would sort of limit the likelihood that he would say extraordinarily stupid things. But regardless, it would be very, very interesting to see. And I hope that we do get it. So that is what's going on with Don Jr. Let me take a look and see if people want me to do, before I move on to the next story, I guess I'll do a couple of super chats that have been coming in. Or actually, no, you know what? Let's just move to the next story right away because the super chats are coming in fast and furious. New memberships are coming in fast and furious, and I'm going to want to get to all of that stuff. So let's continue with the next story. Donald Trump is now claiming executive privilege over the full Mueller report. This is related to the House of Representatives Judiciary Committee voting to recommend that William Barr be held in contempt of Congress for not turning over an unredacted version of the Mueller report. The committee voted 24-16. This was taken after hours of debate that featured apocalyptic language about the future of American democracy. This is the first time the House has taken official action to punish a government official or witness. Amid a standoff between the legislative and executive branch, Justice Department decried it as an unnecessary and overwrought reaction designed to stoke a fight. That's what sort of triggered Donald Trump to now assert privilege. Carrie Kupek, a spokeswoman for the Justice Department, responded, quote, "The accommodation process between co-equal branches of government is supposed to be a two-way street. Unfortunately, the only side who has made accommodations is the Attorney General," what a laughable claim, "who made extraordinary, to provide Congress and the public with information about the special counsel's work. The executive privilege assertion was Mr. Trump's first use of the secrecy powers as president. The Justice Department described it as protective to allow Trump time to fully review the materials to make a final privilege determination. It's been more than a month. But the timing of the assertion signaled that the White House is eager for a fight, and the White House press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, indicated that no change of heart was coming. The American people see through Chairman Nadler's desperate ploy to distract from the president's historically successful agenda, lie, and our booming economy, she said in a statement. Neither the White House nor Attorney General Barr will comply with Chairman Nadler's unlawful and reckless demands. Nothing unlawful about them, of course. She added that faced with Chairman Nadler's blatant abuse of power and at the Attorney General's request, the president has no other option than to make a protective assertion of executive privilege. So it's going to be a fight, and it's going to be a very interesting fight. And here's where I kind of come down on this. You can make the case that this is a fight that on the sort of details and the logistics, on the procedure, may never have a clear winner. That is a very possible and even plausible or likely scenario, that this goes on and on and on, and we get to the November 2020 election before some of these legal battles are sort of finished up. I still think that that's a win for Democrats and a win for those who want to see Trump lose in 2020. Because you've got to remember, a lot of Americans, through no fault of their own, stagnant wages, they've got to work, they've got to get their kids to school, as I like to say. Somebody may have just won David Pakman Show bingo. They haven't read the Mueller report. They haven't gone through the absolutely devastating footnotes in the Mueller report. And so they hear about the Barr letter. They see the exoneration public relations campaign of no collusion, no obstruction, totally cleared. Of course, it's all untrue. But they don't look at the Mueller report. So all of these battles, the battle over whether Trump can assert privilege, subpoenaing Don Jr. To go back to the Senate Intelligence Panel, fighting for an unredacted version of the report, impeachment debate in the House of Representatives, which should start immediately. I'm not saying go to articles of impeachment. I'm saying start a floor debate about impeachment immediately, which will push a lot of the content of the Mueller report onto corporate media and get people informed about what's in there. Even if legally speaking, it leads to nothing, and that's the most likely scenario, as I've been saying now for how long have I been saying it? It's still good because people don't know what is in the Mueller report. I get people calling me all the time who want to argue with me about the Mueller report. They haven't actually read the Mueller report. They've not looked at it. And there's no shortage of people who, out of bad faith or in good faith, are have formed opinions about the full content of the report without actually having looked at it based solely on Trump's exoneration campaign. So I think that this is a good thing, and we will see where it all ultimately leads. Okay, let me say hello and welcome a couple of people. This people might find very interesting. The newest David Pakman Show member is Jimmy from Philly, the violent language, that is. I don't know anything about him being physically violent. I want to be clear. Aggressive, drinks too much landscaper from Philadelphia who calls me all the time. He or someone claiming to be him. No, it is actually his email. That's interesting. Jimmy from Philly is now a David Pakman Show member. If someone who despises everything that this program stands for so much is willing to sign up and throw a couple bucks a month at what we're doing, what about all of the people who agree with what we're doing and actually like progressive independent media? Welcome to Jimmy from Philly, the newest David Pakman Show member. That's one. If we get to 10 new members, like it says down below, I will open the phone lines at 617-830-4750. Our phone bill this month is going to be off the charts. April 2019 set a record for our phone bill, beating all previous months, but it's only the 8th of the month, and we are very clearly on track, particularly if the phone lines open today, for setting another phone bill record. Maybe someday I'll tell you how much it is, but it's the reason why we do new member drives when I do these extra live streams. We will get those phone lines opened if we get 10 new members. 2 coupon codes available. You can use the coupon code This Is 2020. Slap that thing onto any membership and it'll drop the price 40%. If you want like an extra good deal, you can use the coupon code SAVE35 and that'll drop a $60 membership. That's the yearly, to just $25. And that's a really, really exciting thing for everybody. So I'll keep thanking people as they sign up. Okay, let me get to some of the super chats that have come in. Let's start with Jose Romero, who said with a $1.99 super chat, who will be the first Democrats to drop out in 2020? Let's actually, let's take a look. I want to look at, let me pull it up, Democratic primary polls. And I'll pull these up once I have them. And I know everybody disagrees with the validity of many of these polls and all of that stuff, but we're just gonna play it out as if we could trust these. Okay, so let me zoom out a bit here. Man, this website is a mess. Okay, Real Clear Politics. Latest poll is the Morning Consult poll. Let me zoom it in, actually. Here we go. It has Biden 40, Sanders 19, Warren 8, Harris 7, Buttigieg 6, O'Rourke 5, Booker 3, Klobuchar 2, Gabbard 1, Castro 1, Yang 1, Ryan 1, and Inslee 0. Listen, looking at this, I don't know how much longer it's going to make sense for Inslee to stay in. Hickenlooper isn't even showing up in this thing. I don't know what the benefit for him staying in much longer is. Tim Ryan, I mean, okay, I like the guy. I met him personally. It just, if you look at the polls, it's not looking good. Julian Castro has just never gotten going at all. Tulsi Gabbard, I mean, 1 is even a stretch. She's polling 0 in a bunch of different polls. If you go back just a little bit to one poll over the weekend, Gabbard and Castro are polling 0. So I think that everybody who, as far as I know, of the people here who aren't polling well, I believe Yang and Gabbard have made it to the debate stage or are close to. So I don't think anybody's going to drop out before the debates if they're in the debates, because that's good publicity for them. But a lot of these people polling 0 or 1, I think it's anyone's guess who goes first, but a lot of them are going to start going. I think there's no doubt about it. Mavis Lavis says, David in short sleeves. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's right. I'm wearing short sleeves. And what else can I say? That's it. I'm wearing short sleeves. It's getting warm in Boston. Enter Name says, David, why are you always adversarial with AOC on Twitter? I don't know what you're talking about. Did you see her co-sponsor a bill that would help coal miners? She's the only congressperson doing her job. I think that's great. If you refer, so today during I do like 5 minutes of Twitter in the morning and 5 minutes in the afternoon. That's all I do on Twitter now because it's toxic. I saw her post about right-wing YouTubers that are funded by by Republican donors. I want to know about that. I genuinely asked her, I want to know who is funded other than Ben Shapiro by Republican donors, because I'm not aware of that. Like, is Crowder being funded by isn't he even Canadian? But are American right-wingers funding him? I would be interested in knowing about that. Nabil Kavari says, hey, David, hope everything is well and that you're feeling good on this beautiful Wednesday. What are your favorite genres of books? Also, sorry for getting heated yesterday's live stream. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what happened on yesterday's live stream, Nabil, with you. But my favorite genres of fiction are literary fiction, mysteries and thrillers, and sci-fi. Historical fiction, crime fiction. I'm not into. Let me give you. So I'll give you like I don't even know that this is a real book. Okay, but like this is the type of fiction book I'm not into. A heartwarming tale of a young woman's coming of age, and the discovery that she has a passion for painting wildflowers in watercolor. Okay, I don't know if that book really exists. That's not my thing. That's just not the type of fiction that I'm into. Um, yeah. Okay. I don't know what else I can add to that. JHWH Gadol with a 10 euro super chat, which I think is the biggest. So 10 euro is definitely more than $10. Yeah, that's the high watermark for the evening. Oops. And now it got moved. In Austria, far-right FPO gained in parliament, but in election for labor unions and Federal Chamber of Employees, the Social Dem P keeps 60%, FPO only 10%. FPO can't be trusted on social issues. Okay. Adding with another 10 euro super chat. That's like 24 US dollars total. Chamber for employees. Every employee pays 0.5% of gross wage, gets you juridical help against your employer, or gives counsel, maternity leave, child benefits, etc., without additional cost. US equals weird. Yeah, I don't know anything about any of the stuff you're talking about, those Austrian details. But what I can tell you is that it is depressing on a daily level that a lot of the things that other countries have figured out, we just seem unable to take care of in the United States. The Progressive Voice. Does Tim Pool ever wash his beanie? I've never seen him wash it, but if it's wool, you got to be careful because you can't dry it, and there would be some care requirements. We'd have to look at the tag on the underside to really know what the proper technique is. As he may even have multiple beanies that look the same, and so he may even be throwing them out. His business is quite successful, of course. And he may have the capital to just buy 365 beanies and toss one out every day. I don't know. Art Flores says, we hang the petty thieves and appoint the great ones to public office. Aesop. All right. I think we could apply that in a number of ways to what's going on in modern politics. Ariel Fernandez says, do you think the head of state and the head of government should be two different people or the same person, like in the United States of America? I think it would be very interesting to see them separate in the United States. This is, of course, imagining that there would be the political will to actually do that, and it's not at all clear to me that there is. But I like the idea of it being two different people, while at the same time, I don't want one of those two people to be some kind of monarch, right? So, yes, if it's the right thing and not putting in people on the basis of family lineage. $1 super chat was sent and then retracted. Enter name. Could you see yourself voting for AOC if she ran in 2028? I have no idea. Not if she had no additional experience or knowledge relative to what she has today, I would say no. If she develops political knowledge and builds achievements and whatnot over the next 9 years, then why would I rule her out? Certainly, it'd be somebody that I would consider. Okay, let me say thanks to a couple of other people. As I mentioned earlier, you can sign up for membership on our website. There are 2 coupon codes available, and if we have 10 people sign up during the live stream, I will open up the phone lines at 617-830-4750. This is really embarrassing right now for the left, unfortunately. The only new member of the evening is a toxic right-winger who calls into the show named Jimmy from Philly. Jimmy from Philly, who seems to love Trump and defends Trump every time he calls me, is the only person who has signed up for a membership. And no lefties, because nobody else has signed up yet, have decided that, hey, you know what? Independent media is important, and I'm going to support it with a couple of bucks. So that's depressing. But one thing I will offer is, if you are interested in calling in, if you sign up at davidpakman.com/membership and include your area code, not your zip code, as some people erroneously do, that doesn't help me figure out who you are when you call in. If you include your area code in either the first name or the last name field, in addition to your first and last name, I will make a note. I've got a whole bunch of new yellow legal pads that I keep here for, taking notes about the quality of a caller's connection and all of this sort of stuff. I will write down your area code so that when we open the phone lines, you will get priority. You will get special handling, and I will go to you right away. And as I mentioned, 2 coupon codes available. This is 2020, saves you 40% off of any membership. Save 35 drops a $60 membership to just 25 bucks. That's $2.08 a month. I think most folks in the audience can afford that. And membership is the #1 funding source for the show. James Buccino says, why do you believe AOC is uninformed for president? Listen, I think lots of people are uninformed for president. She has basic misunderstandings about economic concepts, which we've covered, geopolitical concepts. It's not an attack on her. I don't think she's a bad person. But I would like to be voting for someone that I feel has a firmer grasp on just like basic economics, basic history, basic foreign policy. And I'm talking about her because people are asking me about her, but the same analysis would apply to a whole bunch of people who are in elected office. Ariel Fernandez says, yeah, if it's 2 different people, then the United States would have to likely become a parliamentary system or a semi-presidential system. Yeah, that was exactly my thought, Ariel, which is, in theory, I love the idea of 2 different people as head of government and head of state. There would need to be other more significant changes to how government is organized in the U.S. in order to allow that to sort of integrate cleanly into the way that other elements of government work. Couple other articles and stories I wanted to talk about. We're going to be covering this on the program tomorrow, so I'm not going to go into full detail on it, but there's a very interesting article in The Guardian about the level of climate change denial that is happening in the United States. There is a very short list of countries that has more climate denial than the United States. It's Saudi Arabia and Indonesia, not usually countries that we sort of consider ourselves similar to. The U.S. is a hotbed of climate science denial when compared with other countries. International polling finds a significant number of Americans don't believe human-driven climate change is occurring. A total of 13% of Americans polled in a 23-country survey conducted by YouGov Cambridge Globalism Project agreed with the statement that the climate is changing, but human activity is not responsible at all. A further 5% straight up said the climate was not changing. Only Saudi Arabia at 16% and Indonesia at 18% had a higher proportion of people doubtful of man-made climate change. This is so depressing. Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, US, followed by Mexico, Australia, Poland, Germany, China, France, Britain. It's very interesting because you've got Indonesia and Saudi Arabia, the United States, Mexico, which is a Spanish-speaking, mostly Catholic country, not known for having sort of like this nationalist right-wing uprising. You have Australia, which has been dealing with some of these nationalist right-wing movements, as has Poland, as has Germany. China is a country that has fundamental information access issues, and I wonder if that's related there. And then you have France and Britain, which have also been dealing with a sort of a rise in right-wing nationalist type nonsense. So I'm not finding any common thread that sort of pervades all of the countries that are at the top here. Now, admittedly, when you get down to Britain, like it's only a sample of 23 countries. Once you get down to, I guess it's number 10, Britain, it looks like only 4% of the population that are climate deniers, which is really quite low. Americans were also more likely than any other Western country polled to say they did not know whether the climate was changing or whether people were responsible. A total of 13% said this. But despite these views, the great majority of American citizens do accept the science of climate denial. Nearly 4 in 10 say human activity was at least partially responsible, potentially along with other factors. A further third taking the stronger view that human activity is the dominant cause. I don't know that I need to mention this, but scientists overwhelmingly agree that people are causing climate change through the exponential increase of greenhouse gas emissions over the years. Why do we excel at stuff that's horrible? I mean, really, when you look at wealthy Western countries, as we might call them, the United States is the one that has high spending and poor healthcare outcomes, high spending on healthcare and low healthcare outcomes. We're falling behind on math and science. We increasingly are dealing with issues like climate science denial and anti-vaccine sentiment, and on and on and on. It's like we're infant mortality among the rich Western countries. The United States fares very poorly. We're leading the way in a lot of things that we should not be proud of. And unfortunately, I don't see it changing anytime soon, unless things drastically change at a cultural level in this country. And given the fact that 30% of the country approves of the job, 37% of the country approves of the job Trump is doing, hard to imagine that that's going to happen anytime soon. Okay, we're finally contesting Jimmy from Philly as the only new member of the evening. Christopher Grove has become a patron at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. And because things are getting a little desperate, we will count Patreon donors towards our goal of 10. Nabil Kavari has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership using the 40% off coupon code This Is 2020. Ian Ewing has signed up as a member at davidpakman.com/membership. Ian, I think, was formerly a member, and it's great to have you back. Leonardo Bravo has signed up. Wait, I'm losing track. So we've got Jimmy and the YouTube guy, and then Nabil and Ian, and Leonardo is number 5. Leonardo Bravo has signed up as a member at davidpakman.com/membership using the SAVE35 coupon code, which drops a $60 membership to just $25. Let me see who else we've got here. Number 6 is Norma Palacios. Norma Palacios is new member number 6. And David Santana is new member number 7 from the 703 area code. I will make a note of that on my yellow pad. So if the phone lines get opened, 703, if, by the way, you're just in the 703 area code, it would be very easy for you to trick me into picking you up very quickly. But I'm going to make a note, 703, David Santana, and he will be first on the phones if indeed we open them up. We are at 7 new members, like it says down there. Phone lines will open when we get to 10 new members. It's really cheap, okay? This is my please clap moment. It's really cheap. Please sign up. Please sign up. It's our number one funding source. Our phone bill gets bigger every month, as every time I open the phone lines, we end up having 50, 60 people holding. That gets pricey. All right. So if we get three more new members, I'll open up the phone lines. Ariel, or let's see, actually, let me go up here. Lukiva sends a $6 super chat. No question or comment. Federico Cunha says, what do you think of what's happening in Argentina? Which thing? I'm from Argentina and I watch and follow Argentinian news every day, but there's a lot of different things happening in Argentina. So you'll have to be more specific. Do you mean the fact that there's a president in Argentina who's buddy-buddy with Trump, and he is arguably a better option than the formerly completely corrupt and disgusting Cristina Kirchner, that Macri is a better option, as disgusting as he is? Do you mean the inflation and the absolute crash of the Argentinian peso relative to the dollar? We could go on and on. A lot of problems. The fact that a bunch of the country still has no running water. Tell me which problem you mean, and I'll dig into it. Ariel Fernandez says, in some countries, the head of state is mostly a ceremonial figurehead with little to no executive power. Ireland is an example of one of those countries. Indeed, and even in those cases, I don't want it to be a monarch. Matthew TPC says, why is Bernie digging a hole on felons voting? I'm not aware of him digging a hole. Let me look at if he said anything recently. Bernie Sanders, felons voting. Bernie's right. let prisoners vote. I don't know that I agree that he's digging a hole. I've said before, for me, it's super, super clear that most of the people that are felons should not have their right to vote revoked. I think you've got edge cases in the cases of people who have no possibility of parole, meaning they're never going to be participants in society again. Should they have the right to vote? But are we really saying that, if you're in prison for dealing cannabis, if you are on a second offense for something relatively minor, I mean, why should you lose your right to vote? I actually think Bernie is mostly right on it. I think he sometimes gets lulled into losing debates on the issue, but I think he is mostly right. And I think that there are complex cases, edge cases, which we should actually have a bigger conversation about. Ariel Fernandez says we will probably have to amend the Constitution of the United States of America. All right, that's something we may have to do. Dark Annihilator says Kyle, I assume you mean Kyle Kulinski. Kyle says Dems shouldn't impeach Trump because it would help Trump win. He also says the Mueller report proves Russian hysteria. What are your thoughts? I am taking your word for that. I don't know what Kyle is saying about any of this stuff. I think that there is a political strategy consideration when it comes to impeachment of Trump. So my immediate advice is debate on impeachment should start right away. Debate on impeachment should start on the floor of the House right away to get into corporate media the content of the Mueller report, which is devastating to Donald Trump. Many Americans aren't going to look at the Mueller report, 448 pages, over 1,000 footnotes. So let's debate impeachment in the House to get evidence out into corporate media and then make a decision. I think it is possible that actually trying to impeach Trump, particularly without Republican support in the Senate, meaning they're not going to vote to remove him, could actually embolden the right. So I think Kyle, if I'm understanding your understanding of what he said correctly, may be onto something. Kyle also says the Mueller report proves Russian hysteria. I don't know what that means, but the Mueller report has confirmed basically every serious assertion and major investigative journalism story of the last 2 years. Zendicrusts has a $5 super chat. Buddhist nationalists in Southeast Asia have attacked Muslims for years without retaliation till the Sri Lankan bombings. Will violence escalate now? I don't know. I hope it doesn't. I'm against violence of all kinds. I'm against religious-based violence. I'm against political violence. And I hope that does not happen. Okay, we have another new member, which gets us to 8 for the evening, and that is John Gebhardt. John Gebhardt is signed up at full price. Thanks, John. Really appreciate it. Also want to say hello to Simon Guidon, who is new member number 9 of the evening. I really hope that we are not going to fail to open the phone lines at 617-830-4750. Just one new member short of 10. That would be very depressing, including for David Santana from the 703 area code, who included his area code when he signed up, meaning he gets priority when we open the phone lines. If you want to call in and talk to me, like now, I mean, we're only one new member away. When you sign up at davidpakman.com/membership, in the first or last name field that will come up after you hit the sign up button, enter your area code. So like if I was David Pakman and my phone number was, imagine that it was 617, a common Boston area code. When I sign up, I would put first name David 617, last name Pakman. And then when it comes through, I will write your name down on my yellow pad. Right now, it only has one name, David Santana 703. And then when we open the phone lines, I will go to you directly. So one more member and we will get those phone lines opened up. Okay, Ariel Fernandez adds, the head of state of the Republic of Ireland is a directly elected president. The head of state doesn't have to be a monarch like in the United Kingdom. Absolutely. Not suggesting that it must be a monarch, simply making clear that I am not for monarchy. And I think most of the audience is aware of that. Okay, Wade Holmes has signed up using YouTube membership. That's number 10. And I also should say hi to Chad Musson, who is new member number 11. of the evening, and Ryan Gunyon, who is new member number 12 of the evening, and Michael Garcia, who is new member number 13 of the evening. So let's get the phone lines opened. And and Michael wants to call in from the 832 area code. Well, we can make that happen. Let me get the phone lines opened. Make a note. Michael Garcia from 832. The phone number is 617-830-4750. We have two people who are going to get extreme and total priority. And you can start calling in now at 617-830-4750. Ryan Gallagher sends a $20 super chat. Very, very generous. Hey, Dave, I love the show. I learn a lot, and you're so cordial, but there are times when you can dash salt on your monologue and the perfect times, and it cracks me up. If I said bitch McConnell, that would be a Freudian slip. Well, that actually is a Freudian slip that I had once on the program. Let me see if I can find it. Would be funny to, let's see if I can. I wonder if I search my own YouTube channel for bitch McConnell, if it will come up. Taking a look here. No, okay, so I'm not easily able to find it, unfortunately. But yeah, that's actually a real Freudian slip that I had on the show before. Alan Chamberlain is a new member, number 14 of the evening. Thank you very much. And Khalil Ahmadi with 100 Danish kroner super chat. Joined a bit late, so I don't know if you've done your take on this, but do you think Donald Trump Jr. will show up in court? Well, he's been subpoenaed to the Senate Intel Committee, not to court. And my guess is that if there is a subpoena, that it's because he has already refused a non-subpoena request. So I don't know if he's going to appear, but I certainly hope that he does. And Arisis Love asks if I've considered adding teal gels. I assume you mean teal gels behind me. Right now I have blue. I tried some orange ones on a couple panels. People generally didn't like them, so I got rid of them. And I don't know if teal and blue would work, but it's certainly something I would consider. Okay, I'll get back to the super chats, but I know that there are now people holding on the phone who want to talk, and we've got new members who have priority who want to talk. I may actually have to take a call from Jimmy from Philly, even though he's called in before, because he signed up for membership today during the live stream, which is incredible because he is a very, very aggressive Trumpist. Let's see, 617-830-4750. Also, Alex Malone from 610 wants priority on the phones, who is a new member, number 15 of the evening. So let's see. So far, I'm not actually seeing, other than Jimmy, any of the other callers on the phone. So let's first go to Jimmy. Jimmy is a new member. Jimmy, how does it feel to be supporting independent progressive media as a very aggressive Trumpist? Hey, Jimmy.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm on?
You're on right now, Jimmy.
Oh, okay. I have to say, David, I think this is a first for the David Pakman Show. I think I'm the first verified, censored conservative to join the David Pakman Show.
I don't know anything about the censorship, but you're certainly not the
yes,
first
you
conservative
do.
to
I
join
can't
the show.
type. I can't type on your live streams or any of your YouTube channels or super chat.
Well, here you are on
so
the
I think
phone,
you
Jimmy.
should consider, right? And
Yeah.
I agree to be a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is there no forgiveness amongst you progressives? I think you should consider lifting that.
Jimmy, I really don't know what you're talking about. I don't moderate the chat, and I don't delete comments or ban people on YouTube.
Well, if you don't know, then you do know now because I just told you that I'm banned.
I know that you're asserting that. I know you're asserting that.
Yeah, well, you know, I proved it to you on a live call, what was it, a week ago? So,
all right, well, I'll look into it. Listen, if the moderators in the chat have, I don't know if you have the authority.
I apologize to the moderators.
I like that, Jimmy.
I publicly apologize. I actually told one of them to blow me. I think that's what got me.
Well, listen, Jimmy.
You know, I know
that making amends is one of the steps of AA, and as I've told you before, I encourage you to seek treatment.
You think I'm in AA?
I don't know if you are. I hope you are, Jimmy.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Third beer, David.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Third beer.
Third beer, you said? Okay, and aren't those 11.5%?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, so it's like a sixth beer, really, in a way.
But you never went over my LSD admission.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about people using drugs. I'm not
That
gonna
has
lie.
helped me.
It helped you get off alcohol, sort of.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
All right, Jimmy, very good. I will let you get back to that. Great to hear from you, as always, and I appreciate the support. Don't have too many more of those beers. Let me see. 703. Let me do a scan for the priority phone callers. 703 is not currently on. 832 is. So let's go to our caller from the 832. 832, is this Michael Garcia?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, how's it going,
Good. Who's
David?
this?
This is Michael Garcia.
Oh, it is. Michael, thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's no problem, man.
What's on your mind?
What you I was wondering what you think of the prospects of the Democrats who are running on less than progressive platform as progressive.
Well, on the basis of the polling, I think Biden's the non-progressive candidate who's got the best shot. I think that Biden entering has basically torpedoed the chances of any other establishment centrist Democrat from winning. Like if you're Hickenlooper, if you are Inslee or Klobuchar, I mean, with Biden in, what's your value proposition at this point, right? Because Biden's very
Right.
similar and has a better shot. So why would anyone support you?
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought of that.
Mm.
But like from a political perspective, you have to imagine that like most people are going to lean towards the center, right? And so it always
I
seems
don't
kind of
know.
advantageous.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Most
I
people
mean,
lean towards the center.
like it's like kind of like a regression towards the mean, right? That like you would think that most people aren't very extreme one way or another, right?
Well, I mean, I certainly would not apply the word extreme. I think that there's just more and more progressive ideas that are now mainstream ideas, like the government should provide some health care to everybody, even if they can't pay for it. There are people on the right who want to frame that as an extreme idea, but it's
That's
really a
true.
pretty mainstream
That's certainly
idea. So
true.
it depends on
Yeah.
how we're characterizing it.
Yeah. Here in Texas, which is where I'm calling from, we've had I think I would imagine that O'Rourke would call himself a moderate.
Maybe. Hasn't he been
I
sort
mean,
of trying to sell his progressive credentials?
right, yeah, he says, I believe in capitalism and stuff like that, but I mean, I don't think that that's like necessarily a bad thing, it's kind of his appeal, he's not like he's not your Bernie, he's not that old.
Right.
He's not like a career politician in any sense,
He's
So
getting
there
there,
is
though.
kind
I
of
mean, I
like
think Beto is being hurt by Biden, though. There's no question about it. Their
that's
polling's
definitely
going in
true,
the
right?
opposite
Like,
direction. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All
was
right.
just
Well,
wondering.
listen, Michael, a
Yeah.
very interesting topic. I appreciate you calling. I really appreciate your support as well. Great to hear from you in Texas.
Yeah, nice to talk to you, David.
All right.
Thanks.
Pleasure. Okay. I will go to the phones in a moment, but let me do a couple more super chats. Ariel Fernandez asks if I have a favorite Argentinian singer. Not a singer, but there's a lot of Argentinian bands I like, including Los Pericos, Los Cafres, Los Fabulosos Cadillacs. I could go on. I don't even know the names of all of the singers from those bands, but a lot of good Argentinian bands. Blood in the Water says, can the American Republic survive the slow-moving coup from authoritarian regimes who appear to be waging a quiet war against representative democracy? You're going to have to be more specific, my friend. Going to have to be a little more specific. Want to know which ones you're thinking of. V says, Mitch McConnell is an evil, decrepit, draconian vampire, undead villain. His real name is Lich McConnell. Maybe you mean Leach McConnell? I'm not sure. Nature Boy, do you think Bernie winning the primary over Biden is a real possibility? And if Biden were to win, how likely is it that he wins against Trump? Okay, is Bernie winning over Biden a possibility? Yes, it is. If you look at the polls, support is going to consolidate among what I believe are currently the top 4 candidates, probably. And Bernie certainly could win over Biden. If Biden wins, how likely is it that he wins against Trump? The polls say about, I think it was 53-47, Biden in a hypothetical matchup against Trump in the popular vote. How that would translate electorally, we don't know. Patrick Nilsson with 100 Swedish kroner super chat. Endorse Bernie or else. Wow, aggressive. And Matthew TPC says, David, I just signed up. Matthew C, area code 951. Yeah, so welcome to Matthew C, who has just signed up, and welcome to Adam Beaver. And I already mentioned Alex Malone. Okay, one more super chat here, and then I'll go back to the phones. KCV says, I saw your video with Tim Pool. You argued that religion is a protected class, even though it's a choice. I feel like Tim didn't understand. No, I didn't argue that religion is a protected class and religion is a choice. My argument was, I think there are arguments for religion not to be protected on the basis that it's a self-professed thing like membership in a club. I don't know if he did or didn't understand, but that was my argument. Okay, so we've gotten to our 832 new member. Let me scan again for 703, not seeing 703. Let me look for 610, not seeing 610. And then there's 951 who just popped up. Oh, okay, let's go right to 951, who I assume is Matthew C. Is that you, Matthew, from 951?
It is. Hello, David.
Hey, how you doing, Matthew? Appreciate your support.
Thank you. I've been listening or watching your show on YouTube for about 7 or 8 months now. I really enjoy the content.
Thank you.
I had I wanted to follow up. I asked the question about Bernie, and I only was limited to 50 characters, so I couldn't frame the question properly. I was hoping I could reframe it for you.
Got it.
So what I was trying to refer to was that getting kind of.
You just cut out. You were trying to refer to what was it, Matthew?
I was saying that Bernie, when you were trying to answer my question, but Bernie seems to get kind of stuck in sort of, like you said, losing debates or losing talking points, trying to argue, albeit justifiably correct, for inmates' voting rights.
Right. And
what I meant by digging a hole is that he's kind of out of step with American voters. I believe it's like somewhere like 77% of America doesn't believe in voting rights for inmates. And Bernie, and although I agree with you and Bernie, I think inmates should be able to vote. I don't think America is in agreement with him, and I feel like Bernie's getting kind of stuck in that loop.
I see what you're saying. I don't know. I haven't seen that. Where did you get that 77% number?
I was looking. I also occasionally listen to Kyle Kalinske, and he mentioned it, and I pulled up an article, kind of broadly verifying that factoid.
Did the article cite a poll, or what was it from?
It was from a poll, but I can't recall the actual source of the poll at this time.
Well, let's imagine that that's true. Let's imagine that Americans don't think that felons should be able to vote while in prison, and Bernie does. Is it a voting issue? Like, is there a risk to Bernie from saying that that's his opinion, of people saying, because of that, I'm no longer going to vote for Bernie? I don't know. Like, is felons voting a voting issue to most people? It feels like it's not, but I guess I'm not totally sure. So the question is more, is there a downside to Bernie talking about it if it doesn't really move the needle one way or the other? And would he be better served by talking about issues maybe more people relate to?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I think that he is kind of wasting time going into so much detail about it, because, like you said, it's not really a voting issue, but at the same time, I think it creates a divide with some center left leaning Democrats.
That may be, you may be right. You actually may be right. And in that case, I don't know if it makes sense for him to continue talking about it in the same terms. You have to remember, sometimes he's just asked about stuff. And I don't know, the thing is, if someone brings it up to him, he shouldn't lie about his position, right? So that's where it gets difficult. If others want to keep bringing it up, he should keep telling the truth about what he believes.
Right. I agree. I just feel like that he should, I think he could do a better job with not being kind of drawn into it at length, maybe more being a little bit, keeping his responses on it shorter. So that way he can tell the truth about how he feels.
One approach would be, he could say, listen, there is a debate to be had about whether felons who are in prison should be allowed to vote. And I'm glad to have that conversation. there is no debate, or there should be no debate, that once felons have served their sentences, they should have their voting rights reinstated in all 50 states. And that's the immediate goal we should be focusing on. That might be one way for him to handle it and not have to start going in more depth into opinions that may be unpopular than necessary, and just bring it back to, before we even talk about people in prison voting, let's make sure that we're re-enfranchising people who have served out their sentences already.
Right. So kind of like a more genuine way of how Kamala Harris handled Medi-Cal for all, when she said, that's a discussion I like to have, and then she moved on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't find that to be super genuine. So I think it would definitely be more genuine than that. I think I see what you did there, Matthew.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, great to hear
if I
from you.
may-
Really appreciate your support, and great to hear from you on the phone.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Let me look at a couple other super chats. Anthony Burrito says, Biden is so done in my book, Bernie 2020, and David Pakman 7 days a week. Jesse Duffy has signed up with a YouTube membership, making Jesse new member number 16 of the evening. CM is asking, why don't you make videos for Expert Village anymore? Oh, because I did that part-time when I was like 22, and I've got a real job now. This is it, by the way. I know that a lot of people write in and say, David, when are you going to get a real job? This actually is the job. C. Mills says, what can be done to accelerate immigrant integration in dense pockets like Somalis in Minneapolis or Latinos in the border states? Community programs? Yeah, I mean, so usually when there are immigrant communities that don't integrate and remain sort of clustered together in what some describe as like an insular situation, there's factors on both sides, and part of it is not perceiving the community around them to be welcoming. It can be language barriers, so that's something that could be dealt with directly. It can be issues of housing segregation and transportation and cost of living. There are all sorts of things that we could attack directly, but it all would be programs that have to be tailored to the particular community. There's no one size fits all. I don't know too much about Somalis in Minneapolis. I know a little more about Latinos in border states, and the prescription in one place would not be the same as the prescription in every other place. So yeah, they have to be locally tailored community programs. Okay, so let me see if any of our other new members are holding on to talk to me. If not, I will just pick on somebody random here. Pick up on, that is, not pick on. Let's go to our caller from the 804 area code. Who's calling today from 804?
Hello?
Yes, that is you.
What? This is crazy. I'm talking to David. This is insane.
You're not on speakerphone, are you?
I am. Hold on.
You are. Okay.
Hello?
Yes. Oh, wow. It's much better.
Okay. Oh, first of all, I want to say that I am really happy that you selected me, and I'm really excited to be able to talk to you for a second.
Very good. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I go by Tony, and I'm calling from Virginia.
Okay. Is that not really your name?
It's not technically my name, but I don't like to say my real name on stuff like this.
All right,
I
fair
go
enough.
by Tony.
How'd you end up with Tony as the name you go by?
That's like my nickname. My friends call me.
Okay, very good. All right, what's on your mind, Tony?
Well, I was kind of saying that how much things have really I've really been thinking about as far as like next year, as far as with the elections and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, a couple years ago, I didn't vote because I just couldn't agree with the people we had be picked.
Really?
But definitely though, next year, like Clinton and Trump, I just could not. They were both, in my opinion, just really bad.
Right.
But I did look at this and I kind of said, you know what, next year, I definitely would be like planning on voting in the elections. I mean,
now let me ask you this, Tony, because I'm curious, if I may. Have you been following Donald Trump's 2 Supreme Court selections? Like, you're aware Trump put 2 people on the Supreme Court, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And what do you think about those people?
I just really think that this is a really, really unfortunate situation where I kind of do think that if people did get up and vote, then they shouldn't have done something. They should have got up and voted and actually, I mean, as much as they don't like Clinton, I kind of think that it probably would have been at least a little bit better if.
Oh, okay, all right. So you recognize that you recognize Hillary would never have appointed people like this to the court, and we would have been better off had everybody gone and voted for her.
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right, very good. Well, we're on the same page there.
Yeah. I just wanted to kind of like say that I just kind of feel like that the way how everything is, if with especially with the candidates and everything, like for me, like like I kind of agree with the whole Bernie Sanders and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's kind of a weird thing for me because I want more progressive whole ideas, because I think that we have a massive issue as far as like policies and everything.
Yes.
But at the same time, though, I kind of do think that there's kind of like these enclaves on the left, but I kind of feel like that if you're not for this candidate, then then it's gonna be like I'm not gonna be participating. I'm gonna stay home, which I highly encourage for people on the left to not do, is to stay home at least.
Right.
If you don't like somebody, I mean, just vote third party, or at least cast your vote out there, because the House and the Senate are, in my opinion, the ones that can actually keep this person at least in check, so he at least doesn't make as much of a mess as we've made last couple of years.
So what's your message to the voting public? Vote. Don't stay home, right? Is that the key message?
Yeah, ultimately, yeah, that's my key message, is to vote. Do not stay home, because I assure you will. I would say because you're basically, you can't complain the next couple of years if you don't go out and vote.
Right. All right. And you are a poster child for that. You regret not having voted in 2016. I appreciate you being upfront about that.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Tony. Tony from Virginia. Appreciate the phone call. Thank you very, very much. Let's go. Oh, I have got to thank a couple of other people. Eric DeSantiago is a new David Pakman Show member, and Sierra Sneed is also a new member. Eric and Sierra, really appreciate your support, as well as Tanya Elliott. That, I think, is 19 new members during this live stream. Very exciting. Crispy Critter sent a $10 super chat. Ariel Fernandez says, any opinion on Juan Perón, former president of Argentina? I am not a Peronista myself, but I am not well-versed enough in his political philosophy to comment further. Blood in the Water says, Russia's waging a war of misinformation in America and appears to be trying to split the American electorate along hot-button fault lines like guns, race, and abortion. Will they succeed? I would argue they have already succeeded to a great degree, sadly. Darth Spader says, what's your take on Trump's relationship with China? I think that it's a disaster. I think on the one hand, Donald Trump is making bad economic decisions in terms of China policy, while at the same time allowing Russia and China to forge alliances that will not be good for the United States in the future. And I think it's mistake after mistake there. Wade Holmes says, when conversing about the current affairs of the Trump administration with his supporters, it's clear that any attempt at meaningful discourse is futile. What's your take on the lack of factual discourse going on today? Yeah, we need to just circumvent it. So I don't even think it's worth, I mean, okay, I do a political show. If Trump is call in, I engage with them. When I'm in, social situations and someone says, oh, I like Trump, I think he's doing a good job or whatever, I don't engage. I mean, part of this is I get enough politics on the show. So, like I'll call my mom and she's like, did you see what? I'm like, Mom, I'm not working right now. Please, I get enough of this. But aside from that, I find that there's very little value in trying to convince individual Trumpists of anything. It's an exercise in futility and frustration, quite frankly. Okay, let's pick up on our caller from the 916 area code. Who's calling today from 916?
Hi, this is Nick in California.
Hey, Nick, what kind of a device are you using?
I'm on my cell phone.
Okay, very good. All right, well, what's on your mind today?
Hey, I was calling to ask you, I saw a headline today that I guess the Beverly Hills City Council is about to vote to ban the sale of tobacco products within city limits.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering what your thoughts were on that.
I don't know what the legal basis is, but I love it. I've got to admit, I find people who smoke cigarettes to be one of the most, I mean, listen, I'm about to go to Europe on this work trip that I've been talking a little bit about. And every time I don't go to Europe for a while, I forget that as soon as I get there, people are just smoking everywhere. Like in Boston, smoking is less common than in Europe. And it really ruins my experience. And I find it just oppressive in every way. So listen, am I arguing that tobacco should be illegal? Not specifically, although I don't understand how cannabis is Schedule 1 but for the DEA and tobacco cigarettes are legal everywhere. Like that seems bonkers to me. And I don't know legally if this is going to stand. I have no idea. But from a personal level, cigarettes can ruin almost any situation imaginable. And I like the idea that they're going to say no cigarettes here.
Yeah, the only thing that I could think of, because I'm not a smoker and I feel the same way that you do, the only
Yeah.
thing I could think of that might be a downside is the loss of revenue, because, especially in California, we tax it so heavily, and I
Sure.
don't know how much revenue we're getting from that we would lose.
Yeah. I mean, does Beverly
But
Hills need that revenue? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
It'll go somewhere. Maybe it'll be good for some other part of LA that could better use the tax revenue. I don't know. But I
Yeah,
mean, listen, there are lots of considerations. There are financial considerations, legal considerations, cultural considerations. I just find people smoking around me so annoying that I like the idea of it, if nothing else.
I agree.
All
Well,
right, very
thanks very
good.
much for taking my
Appreciate
call.
the call.
I
Thank
love
you.
your
Yeah,
show.
great to hear from you. Thank you so much. Let's go to the 202 area code. Who's calling today from 202?
Hi, this is Sam, and I've been chatting with you over email too, David.
All right.
So I have three questions for you.
I would appreciate
One,
it if you maybe just pick the best one, because I've got 37 people waiting to talk to me right now.
okay. If you're Bernie Sanders and you're opposed to the death penalty, how would you properly answer the question that Dukakis arguably gave a terrible answer to in 1988?
Oh, yeah,
when
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like,
Very good question.
what?
I've dealt with this before, so let me just explain to people what you're talking about. Michael Dukakis was asked, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, my recollection of it is Michael Dukakis, a Democratic presidential candidate, was asked, you claim to be against the death penalty, but what if I think it was like your wife and or daughter were raped and murdered or something like that?
Yeah, no, the exact quote is from Bernard. I think it was Bernard Shaw. Governor, if Kitty Dukakis were raped and murdered, Kitty, would you favor the death penalty for the killer? And he said, no, I don't, Bernard, and I think you know that we've opposed the death penalty all my life. And I know people who worked on that campaign, and they all agree that sunk him.
Right. So here's how he should have answered the question. I'm literally concocting this right now, so it's not going to be worded in exactly the way I would word it, but it would be some version of, listen, what you've described, Bernard, would be a invariably life-altering tragedy for anybody, for anyone to have a family member or anyone violated in that way would truly be an irreversibly traumatic event. And you know what? If that happened, I may feel a desire for revenge against the perpetrator. But the United States should not be in the business of revenge. My emotional reaction should not dictate whether the state should be involved in putting people to death, period. And so, some version of saying it doesn't matter what my reaction as an individual would be. The question is, should we be making policy on the basis of how I would feel if my wife were murdered? And the answer is no.
Okay, because I'm kind of worried that, like with Andrew Yang, I think he opposes the death penalty, and the Democrats that I like who oppose the death penalty, that like they could get slammed in the debates for this question, and they could fall the way Michael Dukakis did.
Yeah, it's possible, but I mean, you need to know at this point we have a sense of the different ways that issue can be approached, and hopefully there also wouldn't be such a stupid question from a moderator. And you just got to be prepared and know how to answer it.
Got it. And side note, did you hear that the daughter of Darth Cheney is thinking about running as a gay Republican for Senate?
No, I didn't. I didn't hear about that, but I will look into that. Sam, great to hear from you. Really appreciate your call.
Have a great day, David. Thank you very much.
All right, you too. Take care. Couple of other super chats here. Arisis Love asks, is there a way to remove Barr? Eris is love. I always say Arisis Love. Eris is love. Yes, I mean, Barr can be impeached. Barr could be removed. I just don't think it's going to happen. KCV, if the DNC steals the nomination from Bernie, again, superdelegates can do it in the second round. We've covered that. What should Bernie do? Endorse the corporatist again? I'm not even going to deal with that yet. Let's see how the primary progresses and do everything we can to push for a fair primary. Frizz Junkie says, hey, David, hope you do more book, movie, show recommendations. Love the show. Here's another book. So I recommended Bad Blood by John Carreyrou at the top of the show, at the top of the live stream, which is a nonfiction book I'm reading. For fiction, I recently went to my bookshelves and I pulled out a book that I remember just enjoying so much when I read it, a fiction book for the first time, like maybe 10 or 12 years ago. And the book is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy by John le Carre. And it's a book, I think, from 1978, 1974, something like that. And I pulled it out again and started reading it. And it's so good. And I'm enjoying it in a completely new and novel way because I'm 10 years older now. And it's really great. Ariel Fernandez, isn't Peronism a form of nationalist corporatism? Some define it that way, although in Argentina, things are called different words than what we often consider them to be. Kimmy says, where in Europe are you going to? So I'm going back to Paris. I'm not going back to Cali. I'm going back to Paris, where I was last September, involved in an academic project related to new media. And the timing of it is, so Memorial Day weekend, I'm invited to a wedding in Italy, a close friend's wedding in Italy. And it wasn't super clear whether that was going to be a reasonable thing, right? Going to Italy for a weekend is a little bit hectic. But then this opportunity came to go back and to do this academic project, which I'll say more about maybe next week, in Paris. So it's all coming together. It's all happening. And I'm going to be flying to Paris, doing this thing, and then working my way down to the wedding in northern Italy. And it should be great. Looks like the weather will be good. I'll be renting a little stick shift car in France and driving around, and maybe some live streams from Europe. Who knows? And Joe says, thank you for the great content. Shout out to Miravis, Shao, and Brody Mulligan. Thank you very much. And Bala Newlin has said, have you had a chance to look into the Tim Pool no-go zones thing? You know, I haven't. I saw some chatter in the chat room yesterday related to that, and it's not something I've looked into. But I know that what people have told me is that he makes claims about no-go zones in Sweden that are not accurate, I think would be the gist of it. But it's not something I've looked into in detail. Okay, I've got to run. Busy evening still ahead. Thanks to everybody who joined me. Sorry that there are still people holding that I couldn't get to. Thanks to the 19 or maybe 20 new members. And I'll answer this. Have I watched the Zizek Peterson debate? And do I have a thought about doing a long form analysis? I watched the debate. I watched like half the debate at 1.5x speed. I was not impressed. I don't think any new ground was broken. I do believe that Zizek is the intellectual superior, but I think that the debate really fell flat, and I have no plan of doing a long-form analysis. They've been done, and I'll leave those to other people. Ariel Fernandez says bye in a super chat. Bye, everybody. I'll do another live stream.